started in Southport, the shock and pain of the attack mobilising thousands onto the street. But it soon turned violent and visceral, igniting a rage that began to spread across the country. A day later in London, 100 people were arrested in an evening of chaos. Disorder too cropping up in the north of the country. Riots in Manchester, then Sunderland, more in Liverpool, where a mosque was targeted, then to Belfast. Several days of unrest and it wasn't easing off. These images of rioters attacking a hotel in Rotherham broadcast around the world. Middlesbrough too, cars torched, houses smashed, dozens arrested. More towns and cities set alight. Over 10 tense days, 27 towns and cities experienced 29 anti-immigration demonstrations and riots. The National Police Chiefs Council says over 1,800 arrests had been made in relation to the disorder. Hundreds of those people have since been jailed. So, has anything changed since then? I went to Middlesbrough to find out, and my report contains moderately offensive language.
It was a meeting, then turned into a protest, then it turned into a riot, and it just rolled and just built. It had an energy of its own, really.
We found out they were coming. They were going to attack, especially they were targeting Muslim community.
There's people in Britain haven't got accommodation. There's people homeless. But when the asylum seekers, they come over here and give them money, houses, hotels, you name it, they've got it.
Why people attack their own community when we've got, if you think we've got a problem, let's talk about that. Don't wreck the place.
That question of why remains unanswered and still troubling. How to understand what happened here, to explain it. Rage, valid concerns, or an excuse for violence and racism? Is there any meaning to be found amid so much meaningless violence? Hi, my name's Jackie and I'm from Channel 4 News. This tiny cluster of streets in Gresham saw some of the worst rioting in Middlesbrough last year. It's also one of the most deprived areas in the country. What was it like? Was it scary?
Yeah, it was a little scary, just seeing like kids and adults just smashing the areas up and those big gangs everywhere, and it was just like, no, I wasn't going out there.
Why do you think it happened?
It's because the government just keeps playing games with everyone, don't they? Not that, man. The government are just absolutely killing everybody off. They're making more things for other people and it's not for the rest.
But you think that's what made people?
Yeah, it's because like, we're trying to get houses around here ourselves and we have to live in shitty private houses. And we can't even get a council house because they keep offering other people. And we've had all new properties around here and they won't even offer us once. And I've been on this for about 3 years.
And what do you think it was about then?
Race, mainly. About people coming over to England and
staying in free hotels and
and I can't even get my
which is understandable. Hotels are not cheap.
The perception that others are jumping the queue for housing viscerally felt and not true, says the local authority. It is true that poor housing is a problem for almost everyone here. Poverty too, even life expectancy shorter than in other more affluent areas. For Riley, the riots were a scream of frustration after years of not being heard.
If it's the only thing that's going to make the government see the issues, then it's got to happen, really, hasn't it? It's not a good thing, but if it's got to happen for them to see it, then it's got to happen. It shouldn't have happened in the first place, though.
But you definitely think it was for a lot or many people a way of telling the government you need to hear us?
Yeah, I believe it was more a side of frustration that the government's not listening to the public about things. They need to knuckle down and listen more.
The rioters went from one end of this street to the other, burning and damaging cars and smashing through the front windows of houses with terrified families still inside. We've come back today and we've been told that some of those families have moved out. But for those who've stayed, the impact is clear. This time last year, this couple were clearing up the mess left behind after their house was attacked while their 3 children sat on the sofa. The window's been fixed, the curtain covered in a rioter's blood replaced, but Jane's children are still struggling.
Actually, my children, they were very traumatized that period till now. When there is a knock on the door, there is a noise, they've not experienced riots, they don't know what it's like. So till now, the shock is still with them.
So they still are afraid?
Of course, very afraid.
The legacy for Jane, a carer, is also fear, but something more specific too, a new understanding of her place here.
Did it make you more frightened as an immigrant?
I don't really feel that free and because before I think, yeah, we are one in this country, you understand, but what happened that period, it shows a different thing about the way they accepted us.
And did that make you feel sad?
Of course.
And less welcome?
Yes, it did.
So much of it seemed to be directed at immigrants.
Yeah.
Why do you think it wasn't targeted at government, say?
Because government wasn't here.
Kim May runs Streets Ahead, a community project in Middlesbrough. She's been working in community cohesion for 2 decades.
They'd seen what had happened in Hartlepool, which is only a few miles up the road. They'd seen what had happened elsewhere in Southport. So somebody thought, oh, we'll go to Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough has been in the headlines a few times over the years for the number and the intensity of the migrants coming to the area. So it could be seen as being an easy, if that was what your beef was, then it's an easy hit.
Middlesbrough had suffered decades of industrial decline by the early 2000s. Soon after, as part of a Labour government dispersal scheme, the already struggling town became home to the highest proportion of asylum seekers in the country, cheap property the main draw. Kim says genuine grievances about wider inequalities became focused on the wrong target.
What we learned through all of this is that truth really matters, isn't it? And facts really matter. But if, for example, someone says, well, I'm not getting a house because of immigration, how do you distinguish or whether that's fact or not?
Gathering up the information from the Home Office, from the local authority, and actually showing them it in black and white. They may not believe you, but it's just working with them to actually point out that they don't get a new house, they don't get a new car, they don't get £400 a week to live on. They actually get very little.
At the Jamia Mosque, a short drive away, they say social media messages made it clear. The rioters had attacked other mosques and were heading their way.
I think they were targeting Muslims, Asian community especially. The people that were going around, they were throwing stones at the mosque and they broke the windows as well. But at that time it was really frightening. It was really, they might attack us.
Scores of local men gathered to protect the mosque. At one point, a community leader pleading with them not to get involved or retaliate.
Use your brain! You're doing exactly the same thing! That's what they're doing!
Some were later arrested. The 2 communities still have to live side by side. Fear remains. Is there any understanding of why some people said they were driven to the violence?
Some people are really angry. They're angry about immigration, they're angry about housing. What do you think about that as a theory?
I don't know, to be honest. People who come here from different countries, from Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, legally, they come, they pay a lot of money. Even people in my own family have come legally. They've paid thousands and thousands of pounds. They come here for their better future. You understand? So they're not doing something illegal. If they're coming illegally here, then the people, the government here, has got full right to go against them, to take them out from this country, to ban them. Completely fine, understandable. But if they're spending the money, the government is allowing them. If the government is allowing them, then who are other people to say you're not allowed, you're not welcome here?
In the North Ormsby Working Men's Club, they're happy to say exactly that. The violence was wrong. The sentiment is shared.
And I was quite disgusted with the way it went on.
And do you agree that it was predominantly about immigration, it was about anger?
Yes, some of it was, but not all of it. I think most of it was like what I said earlier about the poor children getting killed and them who done it was, you know, foreigners and asylum seekers, you know, and we didn't agree with that.
Although the young man who did kill the 3 girls turned out in the end
he was supposed to be,
here.
when they looked into it, he was British, but, you know, people didn't really look into that. But we didn't agree what went on. They come in this country, they don't pay any taxes, any insurance, and when they come in this country, all they do is get the money thrown at them and accommodation. There's people in Britain haven't got accommodation. There's people homeless, war veterans, they're homeless. They don't let them. But when asylum seekers, they come over here and give them money, houses, hotels, you name it, they've got it.
Asylum seekers get very little in terms of money. They may get somewhere to stay. But do you think the issue is becoming really divisive now?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
The government don't, these foreigners down south, they bring them all up here, so it has nothing to do with them down at London or out like that. They bring them this way. So they don't see everything what's going on.
Everyone saw what was going on during the rioting.
You are under arrest about disorder, all right? You don't have to say anything.
Here in Middlesbrough alone, more than 170 people were arrested, including 13 women and 35 children. The local MP says grievances forged over decades are increasingly becoming a weapon directed at the wrong target.
I spend my life trying to address those very deficits that they complain about because we've suffered 14 years of austerity and grinding down of our economy.
But part of it is they don't trust any of you, including a Labour government.
That's why we've got to earn that trust. But to use the issue of immigration as the singular response and cause of that is to misread the situation.
After the anger and the destruction of that Sunday almost a year ago, hundreds turned out to clear up the mess. But fixing smashed windows is perhaps the easy bit. As violence continues to flare outside asylum hotels, what deeper damage has been caused to communities across the country? And how might that be fixed?